Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we are going to see the part 2 video of what we started recently. That is must know questions with a detailed explanation of that. So if you're planning to attend interview or if you're someone who is actually attending interview, then this video is definitely for you. So if you haven't checked out my first video where I've discussed in detail about many important questions, then don't forget to check it out. I'll be posting the link of the video in the description. So now let us get started with the part 2, and today also we'll discuss one of the most commonly asked questions that are being coming in many companies frequently. Okay, and again, this I have collected from our subscribers. So let us get started without wasting much time. And while doing so, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So the first question is, how do you create a dual axis in Tableau, and how do you create a blended axis in Tableau? Now, this is, like, say, very confusing to many. Like they say, uh, how or what is the difference between this dual axis and a blended axis? So let us see how we can create a dual axis and a blended axis. So dual axis means what? So the number dual means two. So you will see two different axes for the measures that are available in the view. Like say I'm taking a category here, okay? Or maybe I'll take order date here so that it is easy. And I'm taking order date. And one measure that I'm adding is sales I'm adding. So this is my one axis, right? So likewise, if I take another measure, like say profit, and if I add it separately, it is creating two different axes for each measure, right? This is a dual axis concept. Now, if I combine this using dual axis, these two will merge together. So here you have one axis, here you have one axis, but the thumb rule of a dual axis is whenever you are using this, first step should be to synchronize them so that they are in sync. That is something that we need to do, and you can click on this and you can synchronize. Now, one is for sales and another one is for profit. This is your dual axis concept. Okay, now let us see what is blended axis here. I'm taking order date likewise, and I'm dropping it here, and this time I'm taking sales and dropping it here. And now what I'm doing is I'm taking profit, and instead of dropping anywhere, I'm simply dropping it here. Now what happened? If you observe the difference here, here we have two axes here, right? But here we have only one. And if you see here, we have merged these two measures using dual axis concept. But if you see here, there is no such thing. This is your blended axis. So the axis is blending into one, and automatically it is plotting here. That is the difference, or this is how in detail you need to explain the difference between a dual axis and a blended axis. So here we can talk about how we can create, like say, bring in multiple measures, use dual axis concept to, to merge two measures and synchronize them. Whereas this one is bring the second measure on top and release when you see two side by side bars. That is how a blended axis can be created. So whenever this question is coming, I want you to give an example, or if at all you have a scope to present, or if the interviewer is asking in the screen share, then do show him this difference and talk about these differences, like how the view is here. If you see here, we are getting the concept of measure names and measure values. So here I can drop a number of measures that I need. your view will be same. Whereas here I can merge only two measures together. If I add another measure and if at all I want to merge, it is not possible. But again, I can add another measure and I can merge that. Like say again, I'm taking a discount here and I'm dropping it here. I can merge these two together. Click on this and again dual axis. Like this I can do. So first two in one, another two is one. So all these differences we can talk about in the first two questions, which is asked in many interviews. Even in your L2 and L3 rounds, this question was asked when the candidates were in screen share or in person interview. In person interview or during your scenario based interview. During all of this technical evaluation, these questions were asked. So make sure you are aware of the differences. So third point is, how do you view underlying SQL queries in Tableau? So see, whenever Tableau is opened, right? So one thing is we can do a performance recording, and when you get that performance recording workbook, you can see what is the SQL generated in that. That is one thing. And the second thing is we can go to this log files. So under your my documents, you will have my Tableau repository, and under this you will have log files. And every time you open your Tableau workbook, a log file is created here. Maybe you can read that and see, this is how it is. So we need to understand or read what is happening from this. Okay, so that is how we can read the file that is generated from Tableau, and maybe this is how we can answer this question. Okay, so that is about how do you view. Now, how do you conduct a performance testing in Tableau? So this is again asked in many interviews, and this question has come in many companies also. And this was part of your L1, L2, and also during your L3 phases. So mostly this type of question you will get in L2 and L3 because this is little detailed question and we need to talk about many things here. So prepare yourself in a way that you can talk about at least 2 minutes on this question. So here, if at all, you can talk about your experience or project scenario where you have actually faced issue, it would be even better because that will give uh, confidence to the interviewer that you have really worked on Tableau and you have improved the performance, or what are the techniques that we can do. So that is why this is very important question. So all those who are attending your L2 and L3 rounds, you can expect a question on these lines. Okay, how do you conduct performance testing and how will you improve the performance testing? Maybe I'll write that here only. uh, how will you improve the performance of Tableau dashboard? Okay, so this is something that you need to know definitely, these two questions. Okay, so how do we conduct? There are two steps. One is uh, from desktop we can do, and another one is from server we can do. Two options. So what do we need to do? We need to go to our Tableau, because anyhow you will be signed in here, or even though if you don't sign in, that is okay. You can go to help, under your settings and performance, go to start performance recording here. Click on this start performance recording and then do the basic functionality check on your dashboard. So once that is done, again go to this settings and performance, and now you need to click on stop performance recording. So that is what you need to do. So let me write down the steps here. uh, First is open the Tableau workbook. Okay. Second step, go to help. From there, start performance recording. And in third step, do basic actions on your dashboard so that it can track what is happening. Like say, work with the filters, parameters, whatever are there, or perform some actions. Do all of that on your dashboard. Once that is done, your fourth step is again go to help and stop performance recording. This is what you need to do. Now, once this is completed, Tableau will generate a workbook. That workbook you need to analyze. So observe that workbook, see where is the time consumption more. Okay, you need to analyze more. Like say, is it taking more time for rendering, for your SQL queries, or for your calculation parts? Where all of that you need to observe and then come to a conclusion. So this is how we can perform a testing on our dashboard. So this is just to analyze where the issue is. Understand this, okay? We are not talking about troubleshooting or improving the performance, but we are talking about how can we test the performance here. So when he is asking how will you test, we can tell this is how we can test. Okay, so how will you improve? We will check. I think that question is there at the bottom. Next is how do you create a calculated field? I think this is pretty simple question. We all should be able to answer this question. So generally, why are calculated field created? Okay, what do you think? So you can comment me in the comment section. Why are calculated fields created? Why do we actually need them? What is the need? Because most of the fields are directly provided by DB team, right? Or we have in the tables, then why do we need? So calculated fields are used to derive new values or new fields based on existing fields or custom calculations like that. So for all of that purpose, we would be requiring calculated fields. Now, how can I create that? I can go to sheet. First option is I can click on any dimension here or measure whatever you want. I can click on that, and under create option, there is an option called as create calculated field. From here, I can create. This is my first option. So again, there is no thumb rule that I should follow this method or I should follow that method. Whatever you feel comfortable, whatever you feel easy, you can do that. This is first one. And you can click on this arrow mark, and from here also you have option called as create calculated field or create parameter. Two options. Okay, so from here also you can do. And again, I think under analysis, you have an option called as create a calculated field. So whatever you want, you can do, or from wherever you want, you can create a calculated field. Okay, so that is the answer for this question. And if at all he is asking about how can you create a calculated field, maybe you can tell them what the different options. See, how can we gain the confidence of an interviewer? Okay, so it is number of alternative answers you are giving for a particular question. So it gives a sense of understanding that okay, this guy knows more than what is there. So if you're telling that I can click on this and I can create a calculated field, that is fixed answer. Okay, there is no wrong answer in that. But you can also talk about that there are multiple ways we can create calculated field. This is method 1, this is method 2, this is method 3, like that. So you can convince, you can tell them how much aware you are about the product, how much ready you are about the product. Okay, so that gives an understanding that you have used the product extensively in the real time, or you have good hands on the project. So whenever you are getting such questions where there are multiple answers, don't hesitate to answer that type of questions, because that will give you some extra points in the interview. Remember this pro tip. Okay, so it is definitely going to help you. Even you can apply the same rule even for your coding. So if you see that you can answer the same questions in alternate ways, don't hesitate to tell that, okay, I can do it using if else statement, I can do it using case statement, I can write it like this, I can write it like this. So you should be quick enough to compensate the time. Okay, you have to capture the time and tell them that you can do it in both the ways, like that. Okay, so these are something that you need to keep in mind whenever you are getting such type of questions. Next is, how do you create a context filter? Now context filter is something that is asked in many interviews, and I personally feel it is debatable. That is my personal thing. You can comment what do you feel about it, because some say it increases the performance of your Tableau, and some say it decreases the performance of your Tableau report. See, generally what is happening when we are using context filter, that you need to understand. Okay, because in some interviews, in some of my videos, I have said that it improves the performance, and some in Google you are here that it will decrease the performance. So technically at the back end, what is happening? Okay, so whenever you are using a context filter, it is creating a temporary table. I hope everyone will agree till here. Temporary table it will create. Now, on top of this temporary table that Tableau is creating, your filters are being applied, right? This is what is happening at the backend. Now, when every time there is a change in data, this temp table has to be created. And again, this filter has to be applied. Now, based on this understanding only, some will say that performance is being improved, or some will say performance is being decreased, because it has to create multiple times the temp table, and apply the filter. Okay, so you can read more about this, or maybe you can try to, but I feel too many filters will definitely decrease the performance of your report. That is one thing that you can keep in mind. And whenever you are getting that question that is fixing you in a position where you cannot accept nor deny, then you can tell that, okay, when there are too many filters in your view, then it is definitely going to decrease the performance. Or when there are too many context filters in the view, then that is going to decrease the performance of your report. That is how we can answer it. Or maybe you can read it more in the Google, and you can comment in the comment section what do you feel about that. But how do we create generally? So suppose I have two filters here. I'm taking a category here and click on apply. Okay, and I'm taking subcategory, apply. Okay, now based on category selected, I want my filters. So generally when you have multiple values here, then only it comes into picture, right? So only on top of my category filter, I want subcategory to be performed. So I can select and click on add to context, something like this I can do. Or you are using top n or bottom n values, then in that kind of situation also you need to use this context filters. Okay, so let's say I want to find out uh, top sales of April 2023. Now top 5 sales of April 2023. So if you see here, there can be top sales of January, there can be top sales of February, then can be of March, April, like that. So what do I need to filter first and then apply the data here? First, I need to filter the data for April period. In this, I need to find out top 5. So this will become your context filter here, add to context. Now on top of this April data, my top 5 will come. So this we need to understand when we need to use context filter and when we don't need to use. So generally context filter, what it does, it makes your filter dependent. Okay, which means here if you see, these two filters are working together on top of whatever the value is getting filtered from here, our second filter will work. That is how it is. So that is why they are dependent. Otherwise our filters are independent in nature. So they tell to each other like this, "Arey no nee pani no chai na pani nen jaisa," like that. Okay, but here when we say context filter, they will become friends with each other. "Arey kalsi pan cheddam ra bhai," uh, our work will become efficient. It is something like that. Okay, now how do you handle null and other special values in Tableau? Now this is something that is very important, not only from interview perspective but from your real time working purpose perspective also. Interview and real time also, because many times it happens that we might get nulls in data, or when we are writing calculations, maybe we did not capture all the values, we might get nulls in our calculations that we are writing, or we might get some special characters in our strings. How do we do that? Okay, so to play with these nulls or to capture nulls, we have some functions that are available in that. Now I want you guys to spend some time on this calculations or functions. That is, no, is null function we have. I think I have already made a video on this. Is null, if null. Okay, so you need to spend some time on this. Okay, and then we using calculations, how can you do? So if at all you are getting, special values, maybe we can use a regular expressions we call regexp. So these type of functions we need to play little bit, so that we are aware of how we can effectively utilize null values and eliminate them from the view. So a good developer is one who is writing a condition or a calculation to handle these nulls effectively in a calculation. Now, like I said, so I'll simply now give you one example here, real time. Maybe I'll simply write like say sum of sales. Okay, so sum of sales by sum of profit. So this is right, right. So this is right. So there is no wrong answer in that. But now there is an exception that I want you to handle. So this is a beginner developer. To tell you the example here, if you are writing a code like this, then you are a beginner developer. Now why? You might get question why? What is wrong in that? Wrong in this? What else I can do this? Simply it is a straightforward formula. Now assume you are getting a zero, in place of profit. Now what happens then? Okay, so instead of that, what I'm doing now, sum of, so let me comment this, and this time what I'm doing is sum of sales divided by, so we are assuming we are getting zero in some sum of profit in some case. Okay, for maybe a particular dimension or a particular measure you are getting zero at that point. Now when you write zero, okay, so okay, so it is valid, so denominator zero is valid here, or maybe let me remove this. I'll drag and drop this calculation one. So we are getting null value here, even though your calculation is valid. So if I write something like this, zero in numerator, then it is zero. Now you need to write a code that you need to validate this type of logic also. You need to fix your code in a way that whenever you are whenever you are getting a zero in your denominator, how do you want to do? Or if you are getting a null in this place, how do you want me to handle like that? So if you're not getting any value here, what it will become? So I'm just writing this, and because it is null, this will become invalid. So we all know that we cannot have a null or a zero in denominator, right? So how will I write this code to be effective? If my sum of profit is equal to zero, then my total statement itself is zero. Okay. Else it is sum of sales by something like this. I can write. Okay. So this is how you need to effectively write your code. Now no one, your lead will not come and tell that, hey Rahul, write the code like this, or write the code like this. It is we who need to decide how we are handling this. If you're not doing today, maybe you can do all the testing, everything will go according to your plan even in your testing phase, and even the code might move to be production. But maybe at some point of the time you will get an issue where you are not seeing the value in the dashboard. That point of time, again, you need to fix this issue. So don't do like that. Whenever you are preparing or whenever you are writing in the first place, only try to play with this. Okay. So this is something that is very important in real time. So next is, how do we embed a web page in dashboard? It is simple. We can go to Tableau, go to dashboard. Here we have an option called as web page. You can simply call that and you can enter the link, and to make it dynamic, maybe you can pass whatever the value you want here. Automatically that will become dynamic. So two questions you will get from here. How do you get the web page here, and how do you make it dynamic? Two questions. So one is to add a web page to your dashboard, you can use web page option. Second is to make it dynamic. We can pass the value at the runtime. Like say I'm passing here www.google.com/ whatever the value that you are passing here. Like say I want to pass full name or username or sheet name, or maybe whatever the parameter that you are passing, that you can pass, and this will become a runtime. That way we can do it here. So that is about this filter, this question here. Next is, how is cascading filter created? Now this was asked in many interviews. What is the difference between cascading filter and context filter? Again, this is one thing that is asked. So many get confused here. Cascading filter will come into picture when we are talking about two filters that we have in the view. Like say here I have a filter for my category and I have a filter for my subcategory. Now see here. Now user will have only one option to select from category. So till here it is fine. But my drop down should also get updated automatically. So I'll show you how it looks. This is how it looks generally without cascading filter. Even though my view is getting updated here, it is showing all the values in subcategory, which is incorrect for me. But cascading filter means only relevant data I should see in my second filter. Click on this, only relevant values. Now furniture is showing only furniture subcategory items. Office supplies, only office supplies items. This is your cascading filter here. So you are updating your drop downs as well. That is your cascading filter. Now take me through your design and build process. So this is basically how you are designing, how you are building in your day-to-day activities. That is the process that the interviewer wants to talk. Maybe you can take 3 to 4 minutes here to explain the process. Like you can start from requirement, how we take requirements here, from the business meets, all of that project explanation that we do, all of that you can talk. So first thing is the requirements from the business, and then maybe you can prepare uh, what you call technical documentation. Okay, or you can also call that as mapping documentation. So once your mapping documentation is ready, you have your design ready, then you will start your development work. Okay, and then you will review it weekly or bi-weekly based on the meetings that you have. And then what? Then we finalize the view and then we test it. And while testing, we create a test case documentation just to make sure our code is working, inline, and there are no data related issues. And once this is done, we will also be publishing the dashboards to different environments, and this process is called as migration. So you can talk about all of these points slowly. So in short, I have covered this, but you can talk in detail about this. Okay, so how can you display top 5 and bottom 5 sales in the same view? I think this question was faced by many. I think if you are someone who is actually attending interview, you might have come across this question at least once. So simple it is, you need to create two sets. One is for top 5 set, another one is for bottom 5 set, and then combine these two sets to create combined set, and then use that set to see top 10 and bottom 10 sales in the same view. So you can look out for alternate approaches if there are any. So this is only when you want in the same view. That is something that you need to remember. Okay. Next is, what are the some examples of times you have used parameters? Like I said, parameters are very important, and I think in every video I have stressed enough to tell you that you need to be ready for parameter use cases. You can talk about how you have used date parameters. You can talk about how you have used sheet swapping here, or dynamic views, or dynamic calculations, whatever you want. You can talk about that. So I think I've separately created a video on parameter where I have discussed at least 10 use cases. You can watch out for that. I'll be placing the link in the description video. Don't forget to watch it. It is very important for everyone who is attending interview, and they are important from real time implementation perspective also. See, have you ever had dashboard run too slow, and how do you fix it? So this is often heard most of the times in real time. If at all you are working as a developer or as a production support engineer, we might come across this type of question. So how do you do here? First step is, like we all know, we need to do a performance recording here, like how we have done here. Same steps we need to perform. And then we need to analyze where the issue is. Okay, based on that, we need to take decisions. Like, say, I need to remove unused fields. Okay, limit the data if possible. Avoid you can use filters and reduce the data. Okay, clean up your dashboards, like remove or delete unused sheets, calculations, etc. So all of this will definitely improve the performance of your dashboard. And then maybe you can use extract versus live. Okay, and then when it comes to a data type, try to use integer calculations as much as you can use instead of string, because integer performs better and faster. Try to use inbuilt calculations of Tableau, okay, rather than creating your own, like that. Okay, so all of this will definitely help you improve the performance of your Tableau report. So now next question is, there are three customer segments in the Superstore data set. what percent of total profits are associated with corporate segment here. Okay, now you need to understand what he is trying to ask here. So segment wise profits technically, and what is the percent of say profit associated with the corporate here. So let us take the corporate segment here. I'm taking segment, and I'm adding profit here. Profit, where is it? Profit to the view, and I want to know what is the percentage of corporate here. So click on that, go to quick table calculation, and here percent of total. So it is 32% of sales. That is what you need to, sorry, 32% of profit here. That is what you need to answer here. So sometimes you might get this type of question in your coding test also, like what is the percentage of corporate segment in sample superstore. So then you need to calculate and place the number here. So he will give you data set to connect, and he will ask you this question. You need to prepare the view and mark this answer in the data set. That is how you need to answer. What is difference between TWBX and TWB? So these are two ways of saving a file in Tableau. Saving a file in Tableau. Okay. So .twbx is technically called as a packaged workbook, which means your underlying data is also saved along with the workbook. It looks the same like your compressed folder, or your WinZip folder. Okay. Next is .twb is like Tableau workbook, simple. Okay, so it's like you are creating formulas or writing formulas, but that formula can show up value only when you are connected to data. Otherwise, your report will be blank. So as long as I'm working in my machine, I will not have any value. See, I'm connected to sample superstore and I'm creating this view and I'm saving it. So as long as I am in my own machine, Tableau will automatically understand that this is created on sample superstore and it will get me the results. But if I share this workbook to you in .twb format, it will search for this sample superstore under your machine. If it is there, you can connect and views will show. If it not, your views will become blank. But if I save it as file, save as, here you will have option save as type. Either I can go and click on this Tableau or packaged workbook. You can see it from here. Okay, so maybe I will save this on desktop for now. If I click on this and just practice workbook, if I save it and if I go to desktop, you will see here practice workbook. This is how you will get. There is a icon like zip folder here. So if you unzip this, you will get workbook plus the data source that is there here. So it will copy the data at this point and it will create a data set and it will also save that along with that. That is the difference you need to talk when it is when he is asking about .twb and .twbx. Next is what are the different file extensions of Tableau. Now I don't know how many of you are aware or how many of you know what are the different extensions, but I think this question can be asked many times. .tde we have, it is Tableau data extract. We have .tds, it is Tableau data source. We have .twbx that we have just learned, packaged workbook. And then we have .twb, which is Tableau workbook. We have .tbm, which is Tableau bookmark. So anything important that you want to save, you can save it as you can mark it as bookmark and it will save it as .tbm. Then we have dot tps, and we have uh, some related to, I think this is related to shapes, and we have one more related to maps also, I think dot tms or something, I don't remember. But yeah, these are the different extensions that are available. Okay, so you can comment down in the comment section if at all you know more, but as of now I think two are more there that I'm not remembering it right now. So what is difference between published data source and embedded data source? So this is again question asked many times to many subscribers in many companies. So this is very important. While you are publishing workbook, you will get an option either to embed a data source or to publish data source separately. So when you are embedding data source, means that data source that is there in that workbook will only be available to that workbook only, is available only within that workbook. It cannot be used outside. But if you are saving it as a published data source, then other workbooks can also use the data source. That is the difference. So this difference you need to talk whenever you are getting a question like this. Now again, next question is what is difference between tree map and heat map? So I think many who are attending interview might have already faced this type of question where they were asked what is the difference between tree map and heat map. So tree map, a heat map is a two-dimensional representation of information, whereas tree map are generally ideal for hierarchical data. So that is the difference that we need to understand whenever you are talking about a tree map and a heat map. Okay, so again, do read all of these questions, practice it, and remember these are very important questions if at all you are planning to attend interview. And I think that's it from my side. In this video I'll come up with another video where we'll discuss purely scenarios, more and more scenarios to help you ace your interviews in. So that's it from my side in this video. I hope you find this video useful. If it does, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video. Till then, bye bye and have a good day.